So I've shifted the position for this video because I really want you to see some of the more practical knowledge, skills that you'll need to have as you work here with sisters. So of course, a tidy T-bar, which I have a horrible representation right now as I'm doing my demos. I've pulled out jars, and so I don't have a tidy T-bar, but maintaining a tidy T-bar is T-barring 101. So imagine this is all tidy and neat, I'm going to show you how to steep a pot of tea. Now, just real quick, behind me you can see our shelves. These top shelves are going to be all of our black teas, and this middle shelf, this shelf here, we start seeing our green teas. We do have a hybrid here. It's called, it's a black and green, it's blueberry crumb cake, and then we do have one single white tea over here in the corner. Down at the bottom are going to be our tisans. Now, the way that we steep these is slightly different based on the type of tea. So, black teas are steeped for 1 minute. So, for every 1 cup of tea you'd like to make, you use 1 teaspoon of tea leaves. For every 1 cup you want to brew for 1 minute. Steep, I'm sorry. So, we use a 3-cup pot. So we steep our black teas for 3 minutes. However, if someone identifies that they would like a more flavorful tea, then we'd go ahead and inch it all the way to the full maximum steeping time, which is 5 minutes for a black tea. You never want to steep beyond 5 minutes, as it will make those tannins, it just becomes a little bitter. So don't take it beyond the 5 minutes. Same thing with green teas. It's a little less time. It's not quite a full minute so it's not the 1-to-1-to-1 rule. It's a little less. So for here, when we do a 3-cup pot, we will steep our green teas for 3 minutes strictly, or less, never beyond 3 minutes. White teas are even less. They are an exceptionally mild flavored beverage, and white teas you want to steep for literally 30 to 90 seconds. Again, it's more like a flavored water, but they're lovely, and a lot of times they have a lovely complexity to them that, you know, again, from that bud, it's just a very, very special option. So after I have selected which tea I'm going to do, and I'm just going to take this lady Hannah right here, and I'm going to, you can see that I have my pot. I want my cozy to be on here, so this cozy is just, you just pull it off like this. It's elastic. When you cozy a pot, you always take the lid off. You're going to pop this little spout right through. It can take a lot of abuse, as you can see. We want to try to get those the little tie part inside, so it's not hanging out the strings. And then you fluff the little ruffle. I know that seems silly, but I've seen pots go out where, you know, it looks kind of like this and things are tucked in, and that is not how we do things. We do things very detailed and, you know, aesthetically pleasing here. So here are we ruffle that, or fluff the ruffle rather. I'm going to put my, again, this is a pre-filled bag, so we have a lot of workers who spend a lot of time stuffing these tea bags so that on our very high volume days we don't have to. So you can see it's open and it stays open. So you want to make sure that that doesn't go down into the liquid where the tea leaves could come out. So over here with our hot water, we're going to hold that tea bag very carefully. Now this is the point where a lot of people will get burned, so please do not get burned. And you can see that I took that, fill that pretty much, you know, to the top without it overflowing or coming out the spout. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on. I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes, and I'm going to get that started. Now, if you're doing a tisane, again, the steeping time is going to be much longer. It's going to be, we do about 7 minutes. You can't oversteep a tisane. That's the lovely part, is they just get more and more flavorful until eventually there's no more flavor to pull out. But they will not have the tannins that you can get, or the bitterness that you can get when you're steeping the other teas, because it's not in there. So the tisanes, we brew in between 5 and 10 minutes. Typically we do 7. So they do take a little bit longer, but while your tea's steeping here at Sisters, you get to experience the hat bar and select some fascinators, gloves, beads, baubles. So it's a great way to pass the time, and it's super fun, and everyone loves that. So we've talked about cozying. One thing I should mention is during busy times, a lot of our team members will start working their way further and further away from the water source. I encourage everyone to stay very close to the water source because if we all keep going farther away, it's just not efficient. So be selfish in the regards that you're going to have your pots close, the closest that you can possibly have. If no one's using that area, please use the area very close. We do have a secondary heater that you can't see, but it's out of the picture, but people can use that one as well if this one's being utilized. So work smarter, not harder. Stay close to those water sources. Fill up your pots and ship them out. I do encourage you to nestle, what I call nestling. So when you have your tea list, sometimes you'll have parties of 8 or more. You want to make sure that you line these pots up. There's one rule that you should follow. Our signature tea is called Paris in a Teacup. You've probably experienced it. It's amazing. It's French caramel creme brulee flavored black tea. You always want to make sure that you put that in a black pot. Occasionally on high volume days or private events, we will use a white pot or a black pot just based on the numbers. But typically you'll see Paris in a Teacup always in a black pot. Okay? So this is a good example of what nestling looks like. I have all the handles facing out so that I can easily put them onto my tray, working smarter, not harder. And I have my tea jars set behind here. You would actually see 8 jars, or 6, whatever I have here, all behind there. And I leave those out until I've delivered my teas because sometimes I need to come back and I need a refresher on exactly where, which teas are which. Although you can identify most with just sniffing the lid a little bit. But anyways, so here you go. Here's what a proper nestling is. Sometimes you'll have to use multiple timers because you may have a tisane that needs 7 minutes, you may have a green tea that only needs 3 minutes or 2 minutes, or white tea. So you can use a lot of different timers. Now here's the rule. These timers go off, they're not pleasant. In fact, let me let you hear one of these. I think this is what we were steeping. Okay, so that you can hear pretty much throughout the whole tea parlor. Not the most relaxing noise in the world. Turn it off. If you're not around, somebody else, either that boutique, they're going to come running to turn this off. I call them bombs. It sounds like a bomb's about to go off. Again, not relaxing, not tea-like, not appropriate for tea time. So we try to minimize how much we hear of those timers. If you turn a timer off, always remove the tea bag. It's very important. Otherwise, somebody's going to get a really gross tea. So if the server who set these teapots up is not present when that timer goes off, by all means, turn it off. But as soon as you turn it off, take the tea bag out. And I'm going to show you this again. When you want to try to get as much liquid off, and then you want to follow it over so it doesn't drip on you, the counter, everything like that. And there is a hole in these lids right here, so be mindful that you don't put it so that the liquid's going to fall into your finger. It burns. When you are, speaking of burning, I mentioned don't look away, your body follows your head. So if you're doing this and you look over this way, I don't know if you can see that, but my hand moves and it's all of a sudden under the water. Watch your water. Don't look away because you very likely can burn yourself. Okay, let me see if I've missed anything. Oh, cross-contamination. Very, very, very important. Okay, so we have 2 spoons that we use over here. We have currently two teas that do contain nuts. Very, very, very important that you do not make someone ill or use their EpiPen. That's the last thing. Again, not relaxing, not what we want to do here at Sisters. So be very, very mindful that you're using the nut spoon in a nut tea and the non-nut spoon in the non-nut teas. We also have some gluten sensitivities, some of the candies that are included in some of these teas, those little beads, that really pretty little pearl that I showed you all earlier. Those are notorious for possibly having gluten. Never would have thought that myself, but apparently that is the case. So we want to be really cautious with that. But as far as the spoons, if you do, and you will make a mistake and use a non-nut in a nut or a nut in a non-nut, you'll make the mistake. We all have. Do not panic, but take it seriously. Immediately go to a manager, hold whatever you were using, bring it with you, make sure no one uses what you just contaminated, and immediately take action. Again, don't panic, but it is something we take very, very seriously. We want to protect our customers and give them a very pleasant experience, and we don't want anyone having to use their EpiPen. Okay, so be mindful of cross-contamination. No dirty dishes at the T-bar. You want to make sure that all of those go straight to the dish room, including your employee drinks. Please use the shelf right around the corner here. I'm so excited to have you on board and look forward to teaching you more.